Life was stressful.
I always felt like that green monster was just right below the surface.
Financially was so hard.
Stunning failure as a daddy. I hate that night in my life.
You were so scary.
Dear God, how can I help my fear of my family getting hurt?
We've lost more military men and women to suicide than we have to training and combat.
What if he didn't come home? Like, where would I be?
The wife, them, not me. I knew I wasn't home. I was here, but I wasn't home. And I knew that my wife deserved a husband who was home. My daughter deserved a daddy who was home. I just said, that's not gonna happen again. From the time I was in 7th grade, I knew what I wanted to be. I wanted to be in the NFL and I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. Then I found myself doing both, and I had such clarity of who I was going to be and just kind of like this purpose that all of a sudden you don't.
I had known this man, wanted to save the world, and then he gets out and he doesn't know what to do. And he doesn't know what his purpose is.
I'd been on a mission my entire life. What am I good at besides fighting?
Financially was so hard. It was really scary. We had our 3rd baby and, we're just barely making ends meet. And life was stressful. We couldn't talk about anything because it probably had to do with money. He was angry. I had babies.
There are nights where I'd be up and just walk around the neighborhood. We used to have some challenging neighborhoods nearby here, and I'd go into them. And I always felt like that green monster was just right below the surface. I remember driving around like, man, I wish someone would just rob a bank right now. Like the bank that I'm at, like someone coming here, like I've got so much anger. Like it's like, I was mad when that gorilla got out of the zoo. I was like, I think I can fight a gorilla. I don't know, but I think I can. I just like, this like identity that had been so cultivated was like useless. It was like I was like a Samson and I shaved my own hair. As a person who has always identified as a provider and protector and all these other things, to not know how I was going to provision, not having anyone to protect against. All I want to be is the kind of man I want my girls to marry one day, but I didn't know who that was. And so am I losing time? Am I going to mess her up? Am I being who she wants me to be?
I married this man that was going to conquer the world, and he knew what he was going to do, and people followed him. And now he's like going through some hard stuff, and I didn't know how to love him well. I didn't know how to ease the pain. I didn't understand what the Lord had for us and for him, and I knew he didn't either, and that scared me. It was the first time I'd ever worried about Clint and worried about our life.
Maddie had these night terrors and thunderstorms. I had my back turned and she came storming into the room and surprised me. So I turned and I kind of dropped into a fighting stance and it scared her. And I just ran and I scooped her up. I just held her. I'm who she's supposed to run to. And she was consoling me.
It's okay.
And she's terrified. But I hate that night in my life.
I was really upset that he responded to her so fiercely, walking in there and being like, you were so scary, and you just scared her more. Anger was always there. I mean, I've told him often, I'm like, we are not your men. You cannot, react to us like you do your men, and we're not gonna respond like that. And we're girls. We got a lot of emotions.
So I think it was just this kind of failure, this kind of acute moment of failure. I just said, that's not gonna happen again. But I think the transition out of that,
It was long.
it was long. Years, really years. What's the mission? What's the scoreboard? Where's the evil? Where's the adversary, right? And I'm used to those things like being right
I
there.
loved to have someone take care of me. And I enjoyed being the quiet one with this guy that lived a larger than life, and he was gonna be great at everything. And then when it wasn't, I was like, well, shoot, now what? So I feel like the Lord really, really taught me, like, hey man, I'm the only one you can have security in. It's not gonna be Clint, it's not gonna be his provision. You can't have all he can't have all the answers. He can't fix everything.
You prayed a lot. That's always kind of been your foundational gift. She prayed for me a lot. And the other thing she did is, I found out later that, she made sure. She made sure that friends she knew I'd listen to knew I was struggling. And she let them know. And she said, hey, you need to call Clint. Beautiful thing about having 3 daughters for me was when you're involved in a world where beauty is few and far between, then I have it every day. And this purity and this sweetness. Fatherhood and becoming a parent was the first time I really began to understand this whole concept of unconditional love. Really holding my daughter for the first time and every daughter since was just like, oh man, if you see me the way I see them, my daughters make me mad, but I'm never gonna love them. To understand that you can disappoint someone, but they're never not gonna love you. There's this pre-parent season of my life with Christ and this post-parent season of my life with Christ that it's not better than worse, and it's almost like an Old Testament, New Testament, right? I think God's designed to give me 3 daughters. They come home and be softened and tenderized. I kind of created this system for myself. There's a difference between being here and all the way home. Here's geography. It's next on a map. Home is knowing why you're here. And home is where your people, your purpose, and your passion line up. I knew I wasn't home. I was here, but I wasn't home. And I knew that my family, my wife deserved a husband who was home. My daughter deserved a daddy who was home. My friends deserved a friend who's home. There was this door between me and where I was supposed to be. And on the other side of that door is my wife, my kids, my people. And so how do I get through that door? In the military, the way we get through the door is we blow it up. C4, it's the greatest thing ever, right? So what does C4 stand for? And so for me, C4 became career, compete, contribute, and have a catalyst. Careers, you got a provision for yourself and those you care about, whether you like your job or not. You wouldn't make a movie about 80% of what we did in the SEAL teams. You're like, there's Lieutenant Bruce changing the printer paper. Like, there's Lieutenant Bruce trying to find the PowerPoint slide. Like, hey, we do a lot of that, right? Then you got to compete. I think competing makes you take yourself seriously in a way that very few other things do. Putting yourself in a position to fail if you don't train, right? There's just a part of you that reignites. And then contribute. I think there's a hole in our soul that can only be filled by serving others. The best way to get over yourself is start thinking about other people. Aim for people whose situation is harder than yours. And then catalyst is getting better. And what I'd realized is my entire life until my early 30s, my career was competing, contributing, and having a catalyst. Competing with another team on the football field, or competing against the enemies of our nation, and then service. That was competing, and contribution was the same thing because I was doing it. And then all of a sudden, you had to get better every day. There's no stasis. You're progress or regress. Career, compete, contribute, have a catalyst. Like those are all destinations that you go to, but Christ is the car. And it all really proceeded. When I consider to be a moment of stunning failure as a daddy.
I have a prayer journal, and I write stuff down that I want to pray about, and then I write letters to God, but I don't send them. I just put them in my journal. Dear God, how can I help my fear of my family getting hurt? Sincerely, Sutton.
My dad's gone a lot and stuff, on business trips, but when it's more serious and he's gone on certain stuff for different reasons, it's hard to be away from him. Sometimes I used to imagine what if he didn't come home? Where would I be? Where would my spiritual relationship be?
Some days you can tell he's not in the best mood, but then you find out he had a rough day, or is remembering all the people, all his friends and stuff. Having a lot of my dad's friends come home without missing limbs, or not coming home at all, them just being very real, seeing the marks, whether they have physical scars or not. There's gonna be scars left by war. I know that it's hard for him sometimes when he has to deal with stuff like that, hearing that he's lost a friend. Especially on Memorial Day, he's a lot quiet and to himself sometimes.
They've also grown up in an environment where they've just seen hard things happen.
Ready, aim, ha. Ready.
My friends continue to serve, and sometimes they don't come home. You lose your friends, and you ask yourself, hey, why them, not me? Especially when you lose friends who you think are better than you. And you see a room full of mighty men, just one missing their friend to acknowledging that that could be their kid, you know, and you're carrying your friend's daughter on her shoulder and knowing that, you know, she doesn't get to get that anymore. And then you have to decide that you meant what you said when you do it. Watching marriages fall apart and the phenomenon of veteran suicide. We've lost more military men and women to suicide than we have to training and combat. The reasons for that are many. One of them for me has always been this spectacular, sudden loss of purpose and identity. You go from completely counting to totally costing, right? And not only do you go from protecting and providing to not protecting and not providing. Absent the community and infrastructure and love that you have, that spiral can go pretty low, you know, and you can start saying some things yourself and believing them that are lies. There's this logic that precedes that fateful decision where it's like, hey man, maybe everybody just be better without me. And I'm like, would you ask me? Would you call me and ask me if I'm going to be better without you? Because I'm not going to be better without you. You're letting the wrong voices talk too much. Being off mission is a choice, right? You can always be on mission about something. If you're a Christian, if you believe in Christ and you believe that, hey, we're always at war and the consequences for failure are eternal, there's always a hill to take. So pick a hill and go.
I know a lot of kids who, like, parents have, you know, died in service. I'm just grateful, like, that my dad's here.
I was an incredibly unsuccessful wealth manager. Fortunately, I had some amazing bosses that were just really I think they felt like it was their patriotic duty to not fire me. And I would sit down with someone and go, hey, can I manage your wealth? And they go, no. I'm like, well, I don't want to manage your stupid wealth anyway. I hate you and everything. I just had some anger issues. And then Katrina happened, and some people here knew my background. I remember calling you going, hey, can I go down to New Orleans and rescue people? And she's holding our 3-month-old,
No,
three-week-old daughter.
Yeah.
She's like, are you so excited? I'm like, oh, my wife's a pipe.
I was like, go,
My wife's
go
a pipe
now.
hitter.
That was the first time I saw Clint excited and like wanting to like go and do and live.
So I grabbed some guys, went down to Katrina and pulled a lot of people out and came back, and all these really successful business people that were like, don't touch my wealth, but can you help me and my family and my business be more prepared for events like that? I'm like, I know how to do that. I was able to start a few companies with guys I just really care about.
I got the weapon. Clear.
We just get to work for business leaders that I want to be around and learn from, and then create opportunities for veterans as they come home. Have some amazing talent and incredible clients. But that's what we get to do now. We get to try to love and serve others with where God is, with what He's given us. Christ has been at the center of our relationship from the very beginning, and so that's just what we fall back to. One of the things we try to be as a family is just really authentic. I think the very worst thing we can do for our girls is make them think mom and dad are perfect, because if they think mom and dad are perfect and there's some aspirational desire to be like mom and dad, then that's just not a realistic deal. We're really honest with the girls about when we need God. I aim high and I try hard and I surround myself with great people, but I try to be fallible in front of them. They're like, well, it must be God, because dad's kind of a goofball, right?
Life is hard, and man, we're not kidding. We can't do it on our own.
Yeah.
We don't have the answers.
Because there's only one dude who did perfect, and they killed him for it. And he just woke up, 3 days later, right? I think the world would like to sell us that there's this X on the map we get to, and once you get there, house, car, job, whatever, you get to X and everything's great. And that's a lie. It's not true. It's just failure after failure after failure.
Yeah.
And you put your hope and faith in this, and then it does what it does because it's not God.
All I can do is hope, and all I can do is pray for the Lord's joy and peace and whatever He has for us today.
Do the best you can where you are and trust the Lord.
And I think too, just letting go of expectations. My expectations are just going to be so small compared to what the Lord has for us.
Yeah.
He's terrifying. Yeah, he's big. He's big. He's really big. Everybody at school is like, your dad's so scary. The guys are really scared of my dad. They're all like, hi, Mr. Bruce. My dad's like, shut up. And the amount of times he has scared the boys, he's really a cool guy. My dad is. Like, I'm like, y'all don't have to be scared. And they're like, we have really good reasons to be scared. But my dad's actually really, really cool. Like, he's a cool dad.
God is love, and love comes from God. In 1 John, the Bible tells us that God is not only all-loving, but that He actually is love itself. The heart of the Parent Compass television show is to bring the transforming love of God to families everywhere. In every Parent Compass episode, true stories reveal family struggles and how their lives were radically changed by the love of God. Parent Compass, an award-winning television series, is completely funded by people like you. If you have been touched by God and you want to share God's love to others, would you please pass it on? Jesus tells us to go into all the world and to tell about Him. With your donation, you allow us to take this television show into many different nations and in many different languages, free of charge. And a portion of your donation goes to Parent Compass Outreach to feed starving children. Your gift does so much. To make your tax-deductible gift, go to parentcompass.tv/donate. That's parentcompass.tv/donate. And thank you for sending love and hope around the world.